Well, hello again to all the boys and girls out there in YouTube land watching. John and Ellie of Georgia Beer Reviews back at you this evening with a special examination. We're going to look at a 6-point beer. This is courtesy of Michael Komaroff. This comes from the Brooklyn Brewery. I'm guessing a very limited release, probably only available up there. This is the double dry hopped Cryo Anti-Resin, 9.1%. And as they love to claim on a lot of their IPAs, 0 IBUs. Well, we'll see about that. Michael, any other information that you know about this beer? Or
as you said, it was in a limited release, and if you look on the bottom of the can for the date, mine's not too clear. The date isn't too clear. It's like rubbed out.
11/13/2020.
Okay, so we're talking about a beer that's now going on 4 months old.
Which it shouldn't matter. 0 IBUs, right?
Will not matter.
Wow, this is a thick, hazy beer for sure.
Let me pour mine too.
Straight, deep orange color, completely opaque. Cannot see through it at all. Heck, I can't even see. Well, I guess I could see a little bit of light through it when I hold it up to my white computer screen here, but it's very, very hazy.
Where do you smell this?
Nice head as well. Let's see. Yeah, this looks awesome. Okay. Whoa. All right. Tangerine, a lot of tropical fruit. So a tangerine citrus note, some pineapple, a little bit of guava in there. Maybe a light mango note. You're getting some of the malt character as well. It almost has like an oat type thing going on with the aroma.
And if you can smell a bit of sweetness, it's there too. But
it definitely smells sweet. Yeah, like a cereal grain sweetness. Like, you know, when you have your Honey Nut Cheerios in the morning, it's got a little bit of that going on. I guess so. Yeah, I guess like maybe a little honey sweet note.
Are you ready for the big taste?
Absolutely. This smells, and by the way, 9.1%, no alcohol presence. Yeah, let's get into it. Cheers, Michael. Cheers, Jeremy. Wow. Yeah, this is really good.
One thing you do have to say about 6-point, in most of the stuff you drink, at least it gears you up for a different taste, something you're not expecting. And it's not bitter.
No, it's not bitter. I mean, 0 IBUs is kind of
it's more than 0 IBUs.
Yeah, they like to claim that 0 IBUs.
They want to say that it's not really 0. Let's assume it's low IBUs. That's what they should really put.
The bitterness perception is definitely very low, though. So yeah, the fruitiness is what I'm getting right up front. But you know what? It's got a really bready center to it. Once you get through that initial tangerine, a little bit of the tropical fruit, it's very it's very bready and malty. You are getting some of that sweetness. I would say kind of like a honey sweetness, or like a fruity, like a melon, you know, like when you have like maybe a cantaloupe or something, that type of a sweetness.
And the alcohol is really well masked as well.
This is like, yeah, the alcohol is completely non-existent with this. You could just guzzle this down, really. And it's got that New England IPA kind of like creamy mouthfeel that you get. I know I don't think there's lactose in this one, but just the types of hops that they use, and then with the dry hopping, I mean, it says proprietary resin hop blend, and then they went insane on the second dry hopping, Cryo, Citra, and Mosaic, plus an unholy amount of Brew One, El Dorado, Strata, Galaxy. Wow, that's a lot of different hop varieties.
See, one thing I do know, you don't like the real heavy duty West Coast bitter. And this is the opposite, because it gives you the fruitiness, it gives you the tropical notes, but it doesn't give you that bitter blast. It kind of is, the way they've done it, they've kind of moderated the bitterness.
Right. I think I've had the resin, which is the standard, your typical very hoppy, piney, bitter, resinous West Coast style IPA. So I'm guessing that's why they call it the anti-resin, because it's the exact opposite profile of what you get with the straight resin.
Yep.
Yeah, this is really, really good. Very juicy, very, very nice, thick, borderline creamy mouthfeel. Yeah, I'm really digging this. I'm glad you sent me this one. This is awesome stuff.
And I've come to the point where on some of these beers, the expense on the 16 ounce is a little bit more, and I'll take it for granted that that's probably why they don't put it into 12-ounce cans and try to sell it in their regular lineup, because it would not be competitively priced. So they would lose a lot of business. People would look at it and say, I'm not going to pay $3.50 for a 12-ounce can. It's just not really worth it. So, something like this, I think, was like $4.50 for a 16.
That's not bad.
I bought a couple of 4-packs of it. So, I was willing to go for it.
Yeah. And two, you get the limited, you can only, I'm assuming we're talking about this a little bit earlier, but the brewery in Brooklyn, I'm guessing, is the only one that actually makes this limited release.
Correct, because the other one now, I think, is coming out of 2 different breweries in Pennsylvania, where they make, the regular line with the crisp and some of the other IPAs you've been able to get. Sweet Action, they make those in Pennsylvania at the Victory Brewery, I think.
Yes, Downingtown, Pennsylvania.
And there's another Pennsylvania location on some of the cans, which could be like a subsidiary where they also
Well, they have Sixpoint, Victory, and
Southern Tier is the other one.
Southern Tier, so they've got. Between those 3, that's a lot of different beers, and I'm sure obviously they're doing well with their sales and stuff, so they keep expanding, and I guess they need more real estate, more breweries to pump out that kind of volume. Because we get a ton of the Southern Tier stuff down here, and then Victory as well is very popular. And now finally we're getting all of these 6-point, standard lineup of beers, which is really nice. I'm hoping that with 6-point doing so well down here, that maybe we'll start to get some of the Bean series and the Master Blend stuff, because that is that stuff is really, really good. So.
Well, I'm happy you've at least got to try some of the less known 6-point stuff that's only available in the New York area. So I'm happy you've got to try some of it.
Right. Drunken One, cheers. Thanks for tuning in. Yeah, this is outstanding. This is even better. For a standard beer in their lineup, the Mind Control, which is 8.8%, that one is right there at the cusp of world class. This one, I think, is even better than the Mind Control. But this is definitely the style of IPA that I enjoy most. I have nothing against the West Coast, the super resinous and piney and bitter. Every once in a while, I can appreciate the style. But if you ask me, do you want a West Coast or New England? I'm going to take a hazy New England juice bomb every time.
It does seem to be that's where I've ended up lining up. I used to be
you used to be the complete. Yeah, you used to be
a hardcore, hop stupid resin, that kind of stuff were my main beers. And now, if somebody offered me one, I would drink it, but I don't seek it out anymore. I don't look for it anymore. I don't buy it because it's just not that. It's not in my drinking style. And if anything, I've gotten more into stouts and porters and less into IPAs in general. But if I'm going to drink IPAs, it's going to be this.
Right. They say your palate changes. I think it's every 6 years. So maybe it's just as we age, some of the things that we liked when we were younger. Not that we don't like them anymore, but we've evolved. Our palates have evolved over the years.
But to give you an example, just now on Wildcard, I did Liberty Ale from
Anchor.
Right? Yeah. And that's the 1975. It's an old-fashioned. It wasn't even called an IPA at that stage. It was just an ale, but that's what it really was, a 5.9%. And what I gave it a 91, so it was an A-. But it's such a different style compared to the present IPAs because it's a single hop kind of deal. It's not dry hopped, it's just straight, and it's still brewed correctly and well, but you can't compare it to something like this because it's
right.
Different.
The more I drink, there's a note in the middle, or there's an aroma that I'm kind of picking up on now. I think it's from maybe the yeast that they're using. It's not a hoppy aroma. It's like a.
I'm getting it too.
You get that unique aroma and taste profile, like with a Belgian ale, because of that yeast that they use. I'm getting something. I wouldn't say that it's like a Belgian yeast quality, but there's a yeasty, bready quality that I can't quite place my finger on.
And it wasn't there when we first poured it, so I guess because it's warming, it's coming out now.
Yeah, I can't really figure out what that is, but I've got to assume that it's coming from the yeast because it's not a hop or a malt note.
I'm listing it as a yeasty bread note.
Yeah. Almost like when you baking bread or you go to the bakery and that fresh, as the bread is rising and baking, you get those really fresh bready aromas. It's kind of like that. It's not a negative. It's a very pleasant aroma, and I'm kind of picking it up a little bit on the taste now as well.
If you had to decide this one, if it's more citrus or more tropical, which way I think it's more tropical.
I'd say it's kind of right down the middle.
It's okay. There definitely is citrus in it.
But the thing for me is it's not a total juice bomb. It's you get the citrus, you get the tropical fruit. But for me, what really makes this super enjoyable is the malt character, the breadiness that complements those fruity notes from the hops. It's very bready. It's a very bready beer.
Right. And that's what makes it well balanced, too, because you're actually looking at it.
Yeah, it's like liquid bread with, like marmalade. I mean, it's like it's got that wonderful, the fruity notes there, but it's definitely a very bready beer, which a lot of times with these juice bombs, especially, the malt character kind of takes a back seat to all the hop juiciness and all the hop profile, characteristics that you get. But this one is very nicely balanced. The alcohol, how these craft breweries are masking beers that have like 9+% alcohol. I mean, it's just amazing to me. Like some of the bourbon barrel aged stuff even has, for example, the Founders, KBS, CBS, stuff like that. It's sweet, it's malty, and the barrel notes are there, but the high alcohol is masked. I find it almost crazy that they can mask the alcohol in something like this. That's not, it's not barrel aged. It's just well, first of all, I don't know how they get the ABV that high for an IPA, because they're not barrel aging it and they're not, getting that extra kick from that process. The fact that they can do it so purely and you don't get any alcohol at all on the aroma or the taste profile, even the finish going down, I'm not getting any burn, nothing. So it's kind of scary in a way. If you're not used to this type of thing, you really need to be careful, because you can get toe up from the flow up drinking stuff like this.
No question about it.
It's so delicious. You just keep,
very dangerous. I think part of it could be they do dry hop it, according to the thing, a second stage of dry hopping. Maybe that settles it out a little bit more,
Yeah, holy crap. I wonder that I've got people in the chat talking. This is insane. There's no It says there's 242 people watching right now. I don't see how that's possible. Holy crap. So maybe we're getting rated. There's this guy, GG Default. Holy cow. Yeah, there was 134 people watching. Now it's up to 245. Are you kidding me?
I'm only recognizing some of the people too. I don't know some of these names.
I don't know.
Who's Young D? Do you know him?
Young D. I don't know, but thank you for tuning in. If it's not a YouTube glitch and we really have that many people watching, well, that is awesome.
Well, I'm recognizing. I know Square Table. I know Jeremy, obviously.
Jeremy, Ronald Sutton. Yeah, we've got a lot of. I guess maybe we do have that many people. We got Hyphonics in the chat. Cheers. Yeah, thank you.
Blake is there. Blake must still be sipping on his vodka.
Blake was a hoot on. I caught kind of the end of the Wildcard Wednesday.
He was on with us.
Okay, wow. Yeah, we've got a ton of people watching.
Who does Ronald Sutton want us to hire?
Hire? I don't know. All right. Well, yeah, thank you so much, everybody. For anybody that might be just now tuning in, we are drinking a beer from Sixpoint, the double dry hopped Cryo Anti-Resin. It's 9.1%. They claim 0 IBUs, but it's hopped like crazy. Citra, Mosaic, Brew, One, Eldorado, Strata, and Galaxy hops. I really love this beer. I'm very happy that Michael sent it to me. Cheers to you, Griffin. Yeah, thank you so much, guys, for tuning in. So, yeah, and as this beer warms, Michael, I know we discussed this a little bit, but kind of for the viewers that are watching, it's one of those beers that develops as it warms. A lot of IPAs, you don't necessarily think of drinking an IPA like you would maybe a porter or a barrel-aged stout and kind of let it warm up. You think of drinking IPAs more, on the cold side. But I will say that as this is warming up, it is developing. It's got a lot of great malt character. The alcohol's not becoming any noticeable, at least for me. And it's got that nice bready, yeasty character that continues to build as it warms.
Check out the lacing. Check out the head retention on the side, too.
For a 9.1, the fact that it's got that lacing and that nice head retention, I think that's pretty impressive.
This is one of the better Sixpoint beers I've had. The only ones I think have been better, some of their top-end stouts I've given 99s to. But this is up there. So
to be fair, I will not compare them to the stouts, the bean stuff, the master blend, some of the stuff that you've sent me, just because I prefer the stouts, the barrel-aged stouts to IPAs. But I will say this is the best IPA that I've had from Sixpoint. The Mind Control, which is more easily obtainable, not a limited release, that's 8.8%. This is 9.1. Similar style, similar mouthfeel, but this one definitely is a little bit above that. So this is the best IPA that I've had from Sixpoint. I will say that.
They were first known for IPAs. They're a company that's been in business since 2004. So we're talking about going on 17 years. And I've been involved with them on some level since about 2010. At the beginning, all they used to have was kegs. They didn't can until you got into the, 10, 11, something like that. Before that, they were just kegs. And there were times when my wife was working with her school where we knew the owner of the brewery. He would just send over a keg to a party fundraiser. And it was cool to have a keg of Sweet Action because you knew it was brewed very recently, kind of thing. It was really good.
Yeah.
Only 5%, but still well-made product.
Would you say, so I know you've had a lot more of the Sixpoint beers than I have, just based on, where you live, so close to the original brewery in Brooklyn. How does this rank as far as the Sixpoint IPAs that you've had? Is this like at the very top for you?
This is probably the best one I've ever had of all the IPAs that they've had.
Okay.
Or it's certainly one or two. Maybe I've had one other one that was as good as this, but it's right up near the top. And I'll tell you something, to be fair, when the Trillium brewer came over to Sixpoint, and that was like 3 years ago, maybe, this style was introduced for the first time. Sixpoint did not have a New England style until this Trillium guy took over. Now, they had other IPAs. They had the Bengali, what used to be the Bengali Tiger, until they were sued by Tiger Brewing, or told that if they didn't take it off, they would be sued. So now that's simply Bengali, which is a 6.6% standard IPA. But once they started brewing these, I think this is every bit as good as the beers you get from Treehouse and Trillium and other half. Those are the main three. Now, there's other ones in Vermont that are very good as well. So it's not like there's just one kind. Maine Brewing makes really good New England style IPAs, but this is top shelf kind of stuff.
This is awesome. Yeah. I remember when I reviewed the Mind Control, which was one of the first beers that I was able to get from Sixpoint here in Georgia. I remember thinking that this was just as good as some of the Trillium stuff that Brandon and Trish sent me some Trillium. I haven't tried Treehouse, but I've gotten to try some of the really well-known, upper echelon New England IPAs from the New England area. The Sixpoint can hold its own against any of those. I'm not saying that it's the best because I haven't had a lot of the ones, I'm not from that area. I don't get access to a lot of the true New England juice bombs and the hazies and all of that stuff that come from up there. But I will say that the Sixpoint stuff that I've had has just been dynamite. This one is the best that I've had in regards to the IPAs that I've had from Sixpoint. And I think I'll go ahead and give it a rating. I'm going to go with a 98.
I gave it that too.
I want to go 99, but I've had a couple that are better, and the best IPA I've ever had was one that Bumpy sent me from New Hampshire, from a little brewery called Modest Man Brewing, and the beer was called The Most Beautifulest Thing in This World, and it was only hopped with I think it was Mosaic or maybe actually I think it was Citra. It was Citra hops. They hopped it, then they dry hopped it, they double dry hopped it, but it was only the one hop, and it was a 10 or 11%. It was a high alcohol, a double, borderline triple IPA, and it was out of bounds. I mean, it was probably, I think I gave it a 99, but it deserves 100 out of 100, all day. But other than that, I mean, this one is a close second. And then, of course, the Trillium stuff that I've had. But yeah, we just don't get the quality. We get some great beers. I sent you one or two from Wild Leap, some of our juicier IPAs, and they like to get cute. They'll put lactose in there, and they'll base it off of an ice cream, like a strawberry eclair or a creamsicle or whatever, and they're good, but they just don't stack up to the classics like this. I mean, a straight, no added flavors. You don't need to add lactose. You don't need to add this, that, and the other. This is all the complexity and the flavor profile that you're getting is just coming from the hopping, the dry hopping, the double dry hopping, and just the variety of hops that they're using in this beer, which is outstanding. So for me, I'm going 98. Are you sticking with
I'm
the
going 98 also. I'm with you. I'm exactly with you. I cannot give it a 99 only because that would be the highest score I can give, and that I've left for my stout level stuff. I haven't found an IPA that was as good as the Bourbon County or as good as you're going to try the Cojito Cowboy and see what you think of that. But the Black is Beautiful, which you tried, the vanilla one, which you really liked also. I think we gave that a 99. But, this is top shelf, though. This is definitely, it doesn't have flaws in it.
It definitely doesn't have flaws. For an IPA to develop as it warms is kind of unusual to actually get better. You would think that this style may kind of deteriorate as the temperature rises, but not the case at all with this. And this is what, a 16-ounce can? 16-ounce can. I mean, at 9.1%, that's all I got left. So it's going down very smooth.
I have a little bit more, but I'm getting low. Now, you remember when I bought those Pints of Love one, and also through that Brewers Guild where I got both 12 different 16-ounce beers. Last night, I had one from further upstate New York, probably about an hour and a half from here if you drove anyway, from a company called Equilibrium. And it was an 8.5%. It's called Hop Wave 15. And it's like you have some of the ones from one of your companies that does a whole series where it's 1, 2, 3, 4. So this is the 15th attempt at the same thing. They keep switching the hops out and doing different combinations.
Yes. Okay. So like the alpha abstraction, the one that I sent you, the alpha abstraction, volume 15, you know, every few months they come out with a different version of it.
This on my scale, and again, I do the 10-point scale when I put it in my book, I gave it an 8.75, which probably translates to a 96, maybe a 97 even. But the thing that was different about that than this, it was 8.5%, so a little bit lower, a half a point lower. But in that beer, it was hazy and it looked like this, but it was more pineapple and apricot. It didn't have any citrus in it. So it was basically a tropical one, but it was so well done in that the malts and the tropical flavors meshed like perfectly. And there was a dankness in that. They didn't tell you what the IBUs were. It had to be higher than this, though. There was bitterness, but you can even, and I know just from knowing you and what you do like, you will accept bitterness as long as it's not right in your face. And this was well applied bitterness.
As long as there is some kind of balance with the beer, you know, like the Hop Stupid and the Resin, for example, both over 100 IBUs, very hoppy, traditional West Coast piney bitter resinous style beers, but they still managed to kind of get enough malt character and enough balance with the beer to make it palatable and to make it an enjoyable drinking experience. Some of those super crazy West Coast style IPAs that you get, they literally, the brewer, they'll even mention on the can or the website, you know, like palate wrecker is a term that comes to mind.
From Green Flash.
They are literally trying to destroy your palate so that anything that you drink or eat immediately after drinking that beer is gonna be just nothing, because your tongue and your sense, it's such a sensory overload. And some people like that, but for me, if there's no balance with the beer, it's just something that I don't enjoy. And I find that a lot of the West Coast IPAs are more on that side of things, where it just gets to the point where it's so bitter and it's unbalanced that it's not an enjoyable drinking experience.
Right. I'm with you. And I have to say that maybe what you said before is true, that my palate has changed, because there was a time, and maybe it doesn't go back that far, 5 years ago, 6 years ago, when I really liked that style. And I said, hey, this is cool. But I have to say that as I learn more about the combination of the malts and the hops, if you can do that job of combining them in a good way where they're balanced, the beer drinking experience is so much better. So I'm learning as I keep, doing these examinations and drinking different beer.
Absolutely.
But I did like this Hop Wave 15. So giving an 8.75.
That's a pretty impressive score, yeah. When you do, because usually I think about average is what, like a 7.5. So anything 8 and up, when you're doing your rating system like that, anything 8+ is like really, really upper level stuff.
On the 10-point system, you don't have the flexibility that you do on the 100-point system, because it's limited in the middle. I'm not giving any 3s and 4s and 5s, but once you get to 7.5 and up, it usually is at least worth drinking. But I give 7s and 7.25.
Right, but you don't, when you're doing it on that system as well, rating on that system, you go up. So it would go from like 7.5 to 7, 7.5 to 8. Like it's 0.25 increments, right? For each.
Right. So by the time you've reached 8, it has to be above average. I mean, it really has to be above average. 8.25 and 8.5 is extremely good. And when you hit 8.75 and 9, it's really good. World class is, 9.25, 9.5. I've given some 9.75s to your Bourbon Counties and your KBSs and your CBSs and your really top echelon stuff. I think I gave this a 9 on the 10
Really?
rating system. So that's fairly high for an IPA for me.
Yeah, this is about as good as it gets.
And you did like the 6-point sour that we did last week, the 8% sour as well.
Yes, I love
So,
that.
I mean, it's like these are their limited release items that come out of Brooklyn that they make there. And you're looking at some beers that are different than what you normally expect in the marketplace. They're not brewing, similar things. They're putting different items in there, creating with their hops, different combinations by dry hopping and making a product which is, can't get everywhere.
Right. So the brewery in Brooklyn, are they kind of opening back up and allowing people? Because I know with COVID and everything, it was very strict for a while. Are they kind of getting back to some sense of normalcy with the limited release stuff and allowing you to go and to the pick up your beer and maybe sit outside, or what's the deal?
On the weekends, on Saturday and Sunday, I think it's 6 hours on Saturday and 5 hours on Sunday. You're allowed to come to the area in the brewery. They have like a side section, but you have to social distance. You have to be 6 feet away from the next table. They have the table set up. You have to wear a mask unless you're drinking. So in other words, if you're drinking, you can lift up your mask.
Well, if I was there, I'd be drinking all, so there wouldn't be any mask wearing because they'd be drinking the whole time.
What you do, as long as you keep drinking and buying beers, they don't care. But if you're just sitting there and talking, you have to have your mask on.
Right.
Able to get some of this limited release stuff, which if you do want it shipped to you, you have to buy a whole case. So you have to buy 6 4-packs in order for them to ship it for free. I mean, if you're willing to pay shipping, then it doesn't matter. But the cost is it's not cost effective unless you do it. So what I did is I got 2 4-packs of this, 2 4-packs of the sour IPA, and 2 4-packs of the Cojito Cowboy, of which I still had some Cojito Cowboy left from before. But you got one of those too. We're going to get a chance to do that also. That's sweeter than the Black is Beautiful.
Well, and Black is Beautiful. You got bourbon barrels with the Cojito Cowboy. The rum barrel aging. Rum is a much sweeter with the molasses notes and all that. A much sweeter spirit.
Coconut, which you like too. See,
so coconut, and molasses from the rum barrel aging. I mean, I'm very excited about that one for sure.
And it is 15.4, which means you could not get that in Georgia.
I would never,
even if they made it for distribution.
Exactly.
So
now the one of the ones that I sent you, which I think the expected delivery date is Saturday. It's just a small box. I just sent you, 2 beers. But one of them is from Scofflaw. They're out of Atlanta. It's called the BFS, the Big Effin' Stout, and it's 13.9. So it's right there at the precipice.
Yeah, so, after that you can't get it and make it in Georgia anymore. To go 14.1 would be unacceptable.
Right. It's very similar to the Black is Beautiful. It might actually be a little bit better, but it's a 6-month aged bourbon barrel imperial stout, and then it has vanilla extract added. So like the Black is Beautiful was aged on the vanilla beans. It's very similar, but as soon as I tried, I bought a 4-pack, and it really wasn't that. I think it was
definitely save one so we could do an examination.
I've got 2 left. I've got 2 left. I sent you one. I saved 2 so I could do a review, and then we can do an examination. But as soon as I tried it, I'm like, yeah, I've got to send Michael one because it's the best that Georgia has to offer as in regards to the barrel-aged stouts. And I'm kind of at the mercy of the seasons and the different breweries when they put out these limited release beers. Well, that one came out. I tried it. I was like, this is next level stuff. I think you'll really like the Fluffy Otter as well that I sent you. That's a straight stout. It's not barrel-aged with the marshmallow and the chocolate. It's really good. And but it's, the barrel-aged stuff is where it's at,
Right. And we still have, like you say, we're going to try next week to do the other one on the Founders.
We're going to, the Panther Cub next week, which, of course, Founders is distributed up in New York for anybody out there that's watching that is curious. Michael is a member of the co-op up there, and they stopped carrying Founders products after the whole scandal, I guess you could call it, with the racial
discrimination
discrimination lawsuit. So unfortunately, it's not as easy for Michael to come by Founder. So yeah, the Panther Cub is their newest porter. It's aged in bourbon barrels with maple syrup added, and it's dynamite. So I'm looking forward to examining that. I know Bumpy's got his ready. Miscellaneous has got some. Rontario's going to have some, but I don't think he's going to join because he said it's past his bedtime, because we're not going to get started till after his show next week.
Right.
If
I'm not mistaken, is next week not Chiladas?
It is Chiladas, macro Chiladas.
Okay, I'm passing. It's not anything personal. And again, Jay has to realize once he went away from Wild Card to some of these things that he's doing, he basically closes me out. The week after is Budweiser, I'll get a Budweiser. I'm willing to buy a 24-ounce can and try that. I don't care. But I'm not going to get a Chilada. It's not me.
Right. No, hey, I hear you. I happen to like Chiladas, and I have 2 gas stations within half a mile that I can get all of the wonderful macro Chiladas. So I'll probably, I will join that one because that was I pushed it. It was on the list, but I told him, I said, go ahead and do it, sooner rather than later. Because I really enjoy those beers. It's kind of like it's a Bloody Mary, a beer version of a Bloody Mary, which I love Bloody Marys. So I think that's why I like them so much. Now some of them have like clam broth. Some of them are a little strange. They have the fish, juice in there, clam broth or whatever. But you can get the straight, like the Modelo. They make one. It's just the Modelo beer with the tomato juice, and they have a regular and a spicy. So they have a lot of different varieties, and I like them. So, but Eric, of course, will be doing his wild card thing. So
he's not. He's got a band rehearsal or something. So Alex is going to be taking over for Eric. Alex likes being the sub. He likes taking over when somebody. So Alex is going to host it on Wednesday, which that'll be fun. Eric now has the StreamYard for 10 people. We know Alex.
I noticed tonight.
Alex can only do 6, but Alex will not be as popular as Eric because he doesn't have the same tie-in with the same people. Some of the same people might come on Alex's show, but it's not exactly the same. So there are little minor differences. Look, I'll be there only because I don't want to do Chiladas. Otherwise, I would go on Jay's show. I'm not against, whatever. And I hope he doesn't think it's a personal thing. It is not. I'll come on anytime he's doing anything which is reasonable to me. Now, like I said, Budweiser is cool. I'll get one. I don't mind. I'm willing to the next week. Some of the other stuff in April is just, he's going to do white wine. I mean, it's just, I'm not a wine drinker.
Yeah. He's got a couple of good ones. So he went over the schedule at the end of the Corona Familiar thing. After the Chiladas, he's got a couple of, he's got the Budweiser, but then he's got a couple of kind of open-ended, like where it's more of a style thing, and it's more of an opportunity for people to bring what they want versus a very specific beer.
Okay, if he does that and I can find something within the style that he wants, I would probably do it.
In April, there's one, I can't remember which week in April. Cheers to you, Beer Man. Thanks for tuning in. And Trish, we appreciate it. Terrapin, which I don't know if you can get Terrapin up there. I know you've had some Terrapin. They're out of Athens, Georgia, but they're owned by Miller Coors now, so the distribution has skyrocketed. But 1 week in April, he's doing Terrapin beers. So any beer from Terrapin. And they have a lot of really good crafty beers.
I'll look and see if I can find one. I had the Terrapins, I think, at least once or twice I've tried different things from Terrapin that I've had. And it's a good brewer. I like their stuff. And that's it. So I would definitely be in. If I can find one, I would do it. And it's good that Alex, the beer man, doesn't feel that he has to do it. He does his Friday thing with his Food Friday, that he doesn't feel that he has to do something else, and he's willing to be a substitute, which is fine. Nothing wrong with that. When you go to Alabama to visit your family, he likes to step in and be the assistant person.
That's fine with me. I always tell him, I always tell him and Jay, it's like, I'm out of town. If y'all want to do it, fine. But, don't feel like it's if it's not going to be the end of the world if there goes a weekend without Stout Sunday.
No, but
I'm kind of flattered that it's become so popular that people want to do it. But at the same time, it's like, guys, don't go crazy trying to fill in. Like it's not a big deal. If I can't do it and it doesn't happen, life will go on.
Well, in the 2 weeks that you were gone, it was just Alex and me that did it. Jay was doing baseball games that he's got a season ticket, so he wasn't there for either of the two. Robert's been doing stuff with his business. Whatever
he's been working again. Thankfully,
he's busy.
He's back on the job site doing the, because he's a geologist, so he's got all of the
doing stuff with the oil rigs,
right? Which obviously
Jeremy says he'll come on if he has one, but he doesn't get to Little Rock that often, where he can pick up.
He said, we were talking after the Corona Familiar Arts stream because he was there. He said he went to to Little Rock because he's got to kind of make a little bit of a drive to get all the really good craft beer stuff. He said he bought 6 different stouts, so he should be able to join for the at least for a while on Stout Sunday. Good. So I'm excited to have him back.
Shane comes on because Shane has a huge supply of stouts in his unlimited collection, but he's busy with his family stuff sometimes too, so he's not always there. But I actually think the group that we draw on Stout Sunday has expanded, where you'll occasionally get. Miscellaneous came on 1 week, which was great. Bumpy and Miscellaneous usually work on Sunday, so they can't.
Right, but if they're not working, of course they join, which has been a couple of times over the past year or so. But yeah, they both of them have regular shifts on Sunday mornings, so it's very unless they're on vacation or they're taking off work, they're not able to join. But yeah, we have a great group, and I always enjoy. I love doing Stout Sunday just to get to hang out with all you guys. And Shane Fudge, we don't see him on a lot of the other streams. So like Stout Sunday is one of the only ones that he joins, and he's such a knowledgeable beer guy. So it's nice to get his perspective. Last
night I was up late, John. I was looking at some of the old videos, and I was looking at some of the ones you did and I did with William Kepley. One you did with him on that Miller product. What's the Miller?
Red Dog?
Red Dog Ale. And there was one that we did together on some beer from Georgia. Was that also Terrapin? There was a beer we did. He didn't have one, but he was on with us.
I think it was the Terrapin Moohoo chocolate stout, wasn't it?
Right. And I had something different that my nephew gave me, and you had the Terrapin Moohoo, and I had something different. And mine was old. Mine was from 2014, and I was saying it had carbonation issues because it was in a bottle, but it was tasty. I still liked it. It just it suffered a little bit in the carbonation area. But I feel sad because it can't be good news, no matter how whatever, unless he left the country or something strange. There's not. I can't think of a reason why he'd be out of touch for this long. We're talking about 4 or 5 months. We're not talking about a really short period of time. And I was concerned at the end of last year, and we're already almost in April, and he hasn't surfaced. So I'm definitely worried.
Right. Yeah, I hope. I'm sorry. I was looking at the chat. I'm not laughing at. But yeah, no. I've actually. William, if you're out there, we've been saying this for a while. Yeah, definitely. We shoot a text or get on Facebook or do something. Let us know you're okay. But yeah, thoughts and prayers definitely go out.
I'm always hopeful.
William Kepley.
Keep sipping is Trish.
Yeah, that's Trish.
Okay, I see her in the chat.
Yeah, I don't know what she's talking about. Maybe I'll see you this weekend. Imagine that. She was talking about her and Brandon flying down to, I don't know, maybe going to Florida and they would be passing through, but I don't think I honestly have no idea what you're talking about, Trish. So you have to get more specific. Unless she's just talking about seeing her on the live streams this weekend. I don't know.
What's this? I'm looking at 9:00, John. It says, "Hello, my name is John, and I donated $5."
That was one of the guys that came. We had like 200 and something people watching, and he was one of the people that came over. He didn't really donate $5 because I have no way for people to give money to me. I don't have like a PayPal set up. I'm not monetized, so I think he was just trying to be funny because his YouTube name is John. Donated $5.
Well, during Eric's thing and whatever he wants to do, if he wants to try to collect money He's got his thing set up with his email address of people. I just don't get the concept. I mean, Eric is fine. He's a good beer reviewer. But if you're a John Q. Public guy, are you going to donate money for Eric to do a beer review on the beer you want? I just don't get it. I mean, if there is somebody who wants to do that, I'm not against them doing it. It's just, I don't see the concept working.
Yeah, it's a little strange. Yeah, that's what I mean. I could go out of my way and try to set up a PayPal account and link it to my channel, and people could donate. You know, but that's it. Just
well, you have your buddy Mike who sent you the 30-pack of Schaefer and the 2 6-packs of Ballantine, and we've discussed this before. When you send that much poundage, you're paying so much in shipping that, to me, it defeats the purpose of doing it. But whatever if he thought that was a nice thing to send because you couldn't get it, this gives you Schaefer for a couple of months, which is great. It's a good beer. It's a good macro beer. There's nothing wrong with it. I can get Schaefer here. That's available in New York. It's a New York beer. I can get it. I'm not going to buy a 30-pack, though. You know that.
No. And that
somebody wants to give me a Schaefer to put in my book and review, I'll do it, but I'm not buying a 30-pack. It's funny, you can no longer buy 6-packs of a lot of those macros now. They come in big amounts or not at all, which basically locks me out because I'm not buying a 30-pack. You know what I would be willing to do? I'd buy a 12-pack of Genesee Cream Ale if I could get it.
Right. We actually get the 6-packs now of the Ginny Cream Ale and the 16-ounce cans for like $3.99. So
if I could buy that, I would buy that. All I can get is straight Jenny and Jenny Light. That's all I get here, and it's weird because why? I mean, Genesee is a New York State company.
You should get the really good stuff that none of it, like the Bach and the Kolsch and the all of the stuff that is supposedly their best stuff that is only available. But I guess it's only available in Rochester because you're in New York and
right. But think about it. Rochester is 5.5 hour drive. That stuff is only available upstate. Okay.
Well, that was going to be my next question. Was how far is Rochester?
You're in Atlanta. If a beer was made in Savannah is what, 2.5 hours away by car? I'm just guessing. It may be
2.5. Alexa, how far is it to Savannah, Georgia, from Noonan?
From Noonan, Savannah is 254.1 miles away by car.
No, that's about a 4-hour drive.
Okay, so let's say there's a Georgia brewer in Savannah who makes something you like. You wouldn't get it in Noonan, and you wouldn't get it in Atlanta either because it's too far away unless they got big where they were able to ship.
Yeah, I see what you're saying, but New York, I think, is a little bit different than Georgia. Georgia's a lot more spread out. We have so many craft breweries, and the distribution for the craft breweries in Georgia is more widespread throughout the state. We may not go to other states, but I feel like the craft breweries try to distribute to most major portions of the state, whereas New York is such a it's like one big, you got New York City and then you got the 5 boroughs and all this, and there's so much going on, and maybe it's a little bit harder to distribute it in New York because just the way that the state is laid out. I don't know.
We get more stuff from Saranac, which is what was made by Utica Club, which is in Utica, New York, which is a little bit closer. That's like 4.5 hours. We get more of their stuff. But for whatever reason, Genesee is willing to just ship their very basic stuff. And as far as I'm concerned, this straight Genesee is kind of a sub-level macro. Have you had the straight Genesee before? I don't know if you've ever.
Yes, it's my least favorite. The Genesee Light is my least favorite. I tried it once. I will never try it again.
We get that. We get those are the two we get. Genesee and Genesee Light. I'm not buying that. I wouldn't buy any of that.
I don't blame you. The Genesee Cream Ale is their best
quality beer.
Standard beer.
It's good. But again, I'm not buying a 30-pack of it.
Right. No, I don't blame you. Like, yeah, if you got the 6-packs of the 16-ounce cans like I do here, you'd probably buy it.
I would buy it. I like that. I would definitely buy it. John, I have to head out. Thank you for hosting tonight.
We'll wrap it up. We've been going 50 minutes here. I want to thank everybody in the chat. We had a huge explosion of people earlier, 250-something people watching. That's awesome. Thank you to everybody for tuning in. Thank you to Michael Komaroff for sending me the beer and joining me for this examination. Hope everybody has a great night, and we'll see you all on the next one. Until then,
Right, I'll
everybody.
see you on Stout
Cheers.
Sunday.
Yes, sir. Stout Sunday. See you then.
And thanks for sending the beer.